Well, hello everyone, and welcome to FNL Lacrosse, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Nick Anastas with guest host, Bedford head coach Drew Bordeaux, sitting in here. We welcome Drew to the show for the first time in just a moment. Coming up over the next 60 minutes, a lot to get to on both sides. Boys and girls, men's and women's NCAA tournament in full effect. Our first guest is a friend of the show, longtime head coach on the Hilltop St. Anselm men's lacrosse head coach Mike Shimana coming back on the program. Of course, they are facing off against Bentley tomorrow night in the NCAA tournament. Bottom of the hour, Tristan Kerr, one of the best defenders statewide. The Bedford senior will join us. He's on his way to Lemoyne, going to tell us about that and more as the Bulldogs are red hot once again. 6:40, we switch gears and welcome in girls head coach down at Bishop Girton, first year head coach and alumni, Callie Santos, coming on, an assistant last year, flipped roles with former head coach Leslie Y. A good story behind that. And of course, the Cardinals keep winning. And then finally, we welcome in two of Bishop Girton's seniors, Anna Campbell and Ari Kuchalakis. They're both NCAA bound next year as well. They are our players of the week. So a jam-packed show yet again as we move into the second half of the high school regular season. Let's welcome in my co-host, Drew Bordeaux, sitting in tonight for Chris Cameron. Coach, welcome back to the program. We spoke with you as a guest a few weeks back. How are you tonight?
Doing very well. Excited to be here. Weather is absolutely incredible. This week has been awesome. So just excited to be here. We got a great group of guests coming in.
Starting to really feel like spring these last couple of days, right? 70 degrees and well, the grass is getting green again for sure. You guys have been red hot. Winners of 6 in a row, only one loss on the regular season. That, of course, was an instant classic a few weeks back in late April against Bishop Girton. But since then, 6 wins in a row. What's been the story there?
We had a tough April vacation week. That BG game was just unbelievable. And we had some guys banged up and then played Dover the next day. And then we finished with Nashua North Westford Academy. But I feel like we're just really hitting our stride right now. We got a lot of guys that are putting in a lot of extra work on the field, getting shots up, and you can tell with the way that they're scoring goals and our shooting percentage offensively. And then, we had 2 nice out-of-state games against Westford Academy and Marblehead. Marblehead was one of those one of the 4 one-goal losses that we had last year. And so the guys were really fired up about that game. It was a Friday night game, 7 p.m. youth night. And we had the pep band actually out for the first time at a lacrosse game. So the atmosphere was electric. So that definitely helped as well. So it's just been, like you said, spring weather. I mean, today felt like summer, but just so awesome to be outside. We played yesterday at Salem. We got to play on their football field, and it was just awesome grass field. It wasn't like, super muddy or anything like that. And so just been a great week for lacrosse in New Hampshire.
I like that pep band idea. Let's see if we can make that permanent. How about midway through the season as a head coach? Do the practices change at all? And if they do, how so?
I think that we spend a lot more time in the film room and not as much time on the field as we need to. And especially, a week like this, we have 3 games this week. We're only going to practice twice. And, a couple of these games here, Exeter tomorrow is going to be a big game. Guys are going to go really hard tomorrow. So it's not like you can go super hard in practice on Thursday and then have a game on Friday. The guys' legs just need a break. So it's a lot more of, those practices in between games, a lot more fundamental work. And you're not having to put in as much of your schemes as you are in the preseason. So we definitely spend less time on the field than we did during that preseason, and especially like today. I mean, I think it was close to 90 degrees in the turf. So that's hard for those kids to be running that heat as well. So that's just something we have to adjust to.
Yeah. Now, Elsewhere, you mentioned the schedule, and of course, it can get a little congested, right? With 3 games in 4 days, or 3 and 5, or what have you, and then maybe a couple of stretches where you have a full week off as well. That's the other side of the puzzle. But your schedule does not get really any easier, at least in the short term. This week, another big week. You've got Exeter coming up, and then you kick off next week on Monday against Exeter again, a second time. And of course, the Blue Hawks are perennial contenders. Does the opponent, does that factor into the practice schedule at all, or not? But and how important are these regular season high stakes, quote unquote, games in the big picture?
Yeah, it's super interesting, and Bishop Girton just did it with Exeter as well. And so we have Exeter on the schedule twice, and we have Pinkerton on the schedule twice. The Pinkerton games, second game of the season, and then last game of the season. So that Pinkerton team and us, we're going to be two completely different teams in those games. But you saw it with BG and Exeter, kind of the same with us. We're playing Exeter twice in 5 days. And so that's where it can get fun to scheme, where there's a chance that we're going to see either Exeter or Pinkerton for a third time. So it's just made us as coaches really think about our game plan and what we want to do and what we want to show, with that thought of playing them not once, twice, but then possibly a third time. So it allows us to get creative, try some new things, get a lot of stuff on film so we can see how teams are adjusting. But as far as who the opponent is, we take every game like it is the most important game in our season. So we know the state, you can get anyone's best, and especially a week like this week. This is the week that a lot of AP exams are happening. And so like today, for example, we had a couple of our guys that we practiced from 3 to 4:30. We didn't have guys get to the field until 4 o'clock because they had an AP exam that went to 3:45. Yesterday we played Salem, and their goalie Jack, who's a very, very good goalie. His AP, our game was at 4. His AP exam ended at I think like he got to the field at 3:50. He had a 10-minute warm up, and then he had to go and hop in. And so there's various things like guys who have away games, they may have to drive themselves to the game rather than taking the bus. So this is where it can get super interesting as well. And where it's also nice that you're kind of playing a team twice. There might be a kid on Exeter tomorrow that can't make it to the game because of an AP exam, or vice versa. And now when you play them that second time, all of a sudden there's this kid that wasn't there the first time, and now it's a completely different game. So
Right.
it's very interesting during that regular season.
I'd say. And it sounds like there's a lot of scholars on both those teams that you cited.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. Very smart sport lacrosse is. Yeah.
We're going to talk more about the girls' side of things after the bottom half of the hour, but this question does directly relate. Of course, Bedford, they've got a big game tomorrow. We're going to be at Bulldog Stadium when they play host to Bishop Girton at 5:30. That's our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire game of the week, presented by Beals Insurance. And I've noticed, not just this season, but it seems like Bedford has had a pretty strong tradition over the last decade or so of supporting the other team, the girls showing up at the boys' games and vice versa. How I guess coordinated is that from an official standpoint as a head coach? I know you're friendly, obviously, with Coach Hodgson, et cetera, but tell me, in your own words, a little bit about that relationship between the boys and the girls lacrosse teams.
Yeah, Coach H and I are very close. We meet during the off season, talk through scheduling and all that stuff, and we practice either right before them or right after a lot of the times. But I think one thing that's super easy is we have a lot of siblings on both the boys and girls teams. So the Matthews, Olivia, and Bennett, and then we have the Purnells as well. John and Luke are on my team. And their sisters on the girls team. So I think that sort of helps itself. We want to go and support those siblings, and they do a great job of supporting us. But especially, it's just a athlete to athlete thing that you do. If someone has a big game, you want to be there to support them, and you get to see that kind of throughout the state. A lot of times, there's a lot of, you know, yesterday at Salem, there's a lot of people out supporting the Salem boys team. And you go to a Bishop Girton game, that fan section is packed with girls who have BG girls lacrosse sweatshirts on. Same thing when you go to Portsmouth or Exeter. So that's awesome to see, especially for those big games like the game that they have next week against one another.
Yeah, that game again tomorrow, 5:30, right here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. Then, of course, Thursday, we're right back in action. Roger Howe jumps in the co-pilot chair, and we head to Manchester for Portsmouth at Derryfield. Big heavyweight fight in Division Two. That's a rematch, of course, of last year's championship game, which went to overtime. And we hope for another round, another great chapter in that rivalry on Thursday. Again, face-off is at 6 o'clock. How much, as a coach in D1, do you pay attention to what's going on and down there in D2? Is that something you don't have time for, or as a fan of the sport, it's something you do watch?
Yeah, definitely as a fan of a sport, and I run the Bedford Lacrosse Instagram, and so I follow a bunch of Portsmouth and Derryfield, Merrimack Valley. I follow all those Instagrams, so I definitely keep up with it. You talk about, saying earlier what this regular season game is. I mean, there's a high chance that these two teams are going to see each other again, most likely in the state championship. Although there have been some other teams in Division Two that have been having a great year. But for Portsmouth and Derryfield, you look at some of their scores in D2, and Coach Cameron has talked a lot about it on this show. It can be hard to find those competitive games. Both Coach Hetler, Coach Vischer have done a great job of trying to reach out to other schools. So Portsmouth the other day beat Exeter. Awesome win for them. Derryfield had a tough one against Westwood. But, I mean, this is going to be an exciting game for both coaches, both players, because you're getting that other team's best. They know it's going to be a great game. And I'm sure that a lot of other coaches in the state are excited for this one as well as I am. But I can't even imagine what both of those teams are feeling right now heading into that one on Thursday.
Mm. And well, we got you here. What do you watch for as a coach? What do you think it may come down to Thursday night between those two?
I think it's all going to what it's going to revolve around is defending Zach Amen. I think that that is the key. Portsmouth, he kind of makes that team run between him and Ben Purcell. And you watch the Exeter Portsmouth game, and Exeter was completely face guarding him, and the Portsmouth offensive coordinator, Coach Balzer, did a fantastic job adjusting to that. They're able to get some great looks offensively. And then, battle at the face-off X is going to be super exciting between Nick Smith and Logan Purvis, two guys that are going Division I next year. And so, I mean, most games, whoever can win that face-off battle is probably going to be the more successful team. And that one is just going to be a fantastic matchup to watch between those two guys. So it's going to come down to, I think, who can get more possessions at the face-off X because you got firepower on both ends of the field offensively.
Yeah. And again, it's a part of really a deep division, especially this year in D2. There's some teams on the rise, some perennial contenders that are good once again. Timberlane, Wyndham, St. Thomas. You mentioned Merrimack Valley earlier. Well, they lost to Kennett by a score of 9-8. You were speaking about that a bit off the air. That's the first win of the season for Kennett. So congratulations there in Division Two. And then down in D3, Pelham continues to make noise as they are unbeaten. The latest victim is Bow, and that raised a lot of eyebrows in the division. How big of a threat, how big of a contender are the Pythons?
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about at the face-off X, Pelham Sprague is just, Coach Cameron has said it before, but a guy that could be successful in Division II, probably Division I as well. And so that I'm sure that played a factor into that Bo Pelham game. But I think it's awesome to see for Division III how much parity there is in that division this year. Last year, Bo went undefeated in Division III, and now you're seeing Bo beat Co Brown and Hopkinton beating Bo and Pelham beating Hopkinton, and so that's going to be another just awesome. You talk about with the NCAA May Madness with the tournament coming up here, but some madness in May for Division III in New Hampshire is going to be awesome to watch in that division. A lot of really great teams, a lot of really great games that we're going to see, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's another division that I think is wide open for sure. All right, we've got Coach Mike Shimana scheduled here to join us any moment, trying to locate the longtime St. Anselm coach. But unique interview here coming up, Drew. You played for him, of course, semi-recently, and we're really firsthand a part of that growing program that now has reached the expectations, perhaps, of making the NCAA tournament every other year or so. They've got a game against Bentley tomorrow night. I know you've been keeping an eye on your alma mater. Size up how you like playing for Coach, and what do you think the Hawks' chances are tomorrow in round 3, by the way, of the year against Bentley when it counts in the first round of the NCAA tournament?
So, a friend of the program, Eric Coburn, just got a text from him that said that Coach Shimana is having some car difficulties, which may be why there's a delay there. So, hopefully, he's on any minute here. But yeah, Coach Shimana, he took over my sophomore year, was hired as head coach. My freshman year in 2015, we had one of the worst teams in program history. We were 2-11. There was a coaching change. And just, there was a lot of bad culture with the group of guys that we had and the leadership that we had, unfortunately. And Coach Shimana came my sophomore year and just completely flipped the culture, flipped the switch. He is just such an intelligent coach. The things that he knows offensively, but specifically in the riding and clearing game, that's where I'd put him up with any coach in the country. His ability to clear the ball and ride the ball. And their clear right now is, I believe, number 2 in Division II. They clear over 90%, which they win a lot of faceoffs. And then when you can clear the ball that high caliber, they're going to get a lot of great offensive possessions. And so I think it's just, this is the dream that he had when he took over, was to get the program to this point. And he always talked about, when I was there, making program history. And whether that was, my senior year, having a shot to get a home playoff game, which we unfortunately didn't do, but we were able to beat Lemoyne that year, made program history, made it to our first NE10 championship, again, program history. And now they've made program history this year. They're hosting an NCAA tournament game. And that is something that, if you told people in 2015 when he took over that St. A's would be hosting a tournament game, not a lot of people would believe that, but that just shows the hard work that he's put in. He is an incredible recruiter, and a lot of club coaches will tell you that about him. Has a great relationship with the guys that he recruits, and then continues that relationship with the guys on the team. He's still someone that I talk to weekly, and it's not necessarily about lacrosse. He wants to know about my life and what's going on. So we have a special relationship there. So I'm super proud of him as a former player, as an alumni, to see where the program is. We were pretty good my senior year, but I get a lot of street credit when I'm in Market Basket wearing my St. A's jacket, and people ask like, "Oh, when did you graduate?" And I have to say 2018. They're like, "Oh, that's before they really started getting good, huh?" So I get a little, people give me looks when I'm in Market Basket or CVS. They're like, "Oh, that guy might know a thing or two about lacrosse," just because I have that Hawks lacrosse sweatshirt on.
All right. Without any further ado, let's bring him in. Friend of the program, Mike Shimana, joining us from the Hilltop. Coach, good evening. How are you? Thanks for coming on.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
We appreciate it. Where to begin? Let's start, I suppose, with your last two games, two tournament games, conference games, of course, in the Northeast 10. One was a one-goal win, one was a one-goal loss. And yet, in the end, you wind up in an unprecedented spot, as one of your former players just described, hosting an NCAA tournament game tomorrow night against your rival, no less, in Bentley. Take me back. What did your team, or how does your team use that experience to their advantage this postseason, this with the two tight games? How do you spin that as a positive going into the biggest game of the year?
Yeah, I think always playing in a tight game, in a playoff game where there's a lot on the line is important for your team. We had a lot of games during the season that weren't close, whether it was one way or the other. So it was good to have those tight games and big situations in May lacrosse. That's something we've been talking about as well. Like playing May lacrosse, it's a little bit different. Intensity is a little bit more. There's a lot more on the line, a lot more at stake. So to have played two tight games there, one where we came out on top, obviously at the end, and then one where unfortunately lost, it's definitely a good experience for us moving forward. Just understanding what we need to do in those close games at the end to have success, maybe what we need to change in those close games to have success, and then just guys feeling that moment as well. I think a big thing we talked about after the Adelphi game, we came out pretty tight. Guys are gripping their sticks a little bit tight. Went down 6-1, which is, you can't really do that against one of the best teams in the country. Ultimately, our guys battled back. We got it to 8-8 going into the fourth quarter. And ended up losing by a goal. But, hopefully our guys learned from that. We talked about it also in practice. At the end of practice today, I think the last thing I said to the team is that, fear and preparation are inversely proportional. The more you prepare, the less you're going to have those nerves, the less you're going to have that fear. And our guys have certainly prepared since August for this moment, and have obviously prepared this week with scouting and watching film and all that stuff as well.
Well, Drew and I just kind of recapped at least the latest chapter of the program's history, the last decade or so since your arrival in 2015. Step by step, you've improved the program to the point where now, again, for the first time in school history, you are hosting an NCAA tournament game. Obviously, that's the goal, and then even further down the road to win it again. But how impressive is this? How big of a moment in program history is tomorrow night going to be hosting an NCAA tournament game? And how proud are you and your staff of that accomplishment?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's not me; it's we. There's a lot of people who, Drew, obviously a big part of that, who have put their fingerprints all over this program. Whether that's the assistant coaches that we've had. Anthony Ardella is the first one that comes to mind, who was, our defensive coordinator when Drew was there, and coached with myself for 7 years and was a huge part of our success. Or, Cam Hayward, who's here now with us, Eric Coburn, who's here now with us, and Derek Iannone, who's done a great job with our face-off guys, all the student assistants that we've had, and all the players who have bought in to what we've been trying to accomplish and what the culture needs to be and what our goals are. So it's definitely a we moment. And then I would say, honestly, it's not a big deal hosting a game. It's a luxury. It's nice for us to be home. It's nice for us to not get on a bus and not be in a hotel and, warm up on our home field and pregame in our own locker room and all those things. So I would say it's kind of a luxury. It's a nice thing, but ultimately it's a moment that our seniors and our fifth years, this is their fourth NCAA tournament. So, the moment should not be too bright for them. It shouldn't be something that's foreign to them. It's, to be honest with you, it's business as usual for them. We've been in a lot of these games. We know what it takes to win in May. We know what it takes to win NCAA tournament games. So hopefully those guys use that experience. They show up excited, ready to compete, ready to execute a game plan, and ready to have some fun.
Drew?
Yeah, Coach, you talked about your assistants a little bit, and one of your assistants, Eric Coburn, was able to win a national championship in his senior year. And so what has it been like having him these past 2 years, a guy that was able to win a lot of games in May for multiple years, to have him kind of mentoring those guys?
Yeah, it's been great. He's done an awesome job with our defense. Just been a huge addition to the program. As you know, a guy we kind of had our eyes on when Coach Nardella left, that we wanted him to come and help out with our program, and he's been everything that he was advertised as. And I mean, I think hopefully if we can make a nice run here in the tournament, that experience will come into play even more on what we can do when we have a week of preparation and no one's in classes. What we can do if we, get further into the tournament and things like that. And we always have to say it when we're in a meeting room. It's like no one in here has ever accomplished a national championship except Coach Coburn. So. And we, the reason we're saying that is like, you got to do things you maybe never have done to accomplish something like that. And Coach has really, helped us with the culture and kind of push guys on what they need to do, the leaders that they need to be, and different things like that on how we can hopefully get there.
And then you talked about, seniors in fifth years, this being their fourth NCAA tournament. So, guys like, obviously, again, it's a whole team, whole part, but guys like Jack Andrew and Ryan Slattery, especially with St. A's not being a school like a Bentley or Merrimack that has a lot of graduate programs. What was that like getting them back for a fifth year? Because obviously they have that COVID year. Was that more them initiating it, you initiating it? And, I'm sure both those guys probably had opportunities to possibly play at the Division I level. And so what does it mean for you to have them back and for the program as well?
Yeah, those guys are a huge part of our success this year and have been a huge part of our success for the last 5 years. So I think with Ryan, it was easy. There's luckily a graduate program. Our only graduate program is criminal justice. So Ryan's a criminal justice major. So he's kind of our unquestioned leader. Like he is our senior captain, our only captain this year. Not because we don't have other good leaders, but it was just kind of, as you were, Drew, your senior year, our only captain, it was kind of clear that he was the guy. And so once he was coming back, we kind of had some other guys that it was easier to convince them at that point. Craig Iannone, who's very close to Ryan, then jumped on board, and he's had a tremendous season. First team all conference, will likely be, one of the top face-off guys when it comes for All-American voting and stuff like that. So getting him back, and then Jack was a little different. It was, I think maybe the early spring when he would come in and we would talk about other stuff, and we would say, hey, think you want to come back? And he would be like, oh, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how I would do it without the grad program and stuff. And we got creative, and he took the fall off and was able to come back. And I think he is very happy that he made that decision. He spoke to our team on Friday night in our hotel and talked about how happy he was that he took the opportunity to come back and play one more year. And he's done a tremendous job. To talk about one single guy, but like the guy's had 40 goals the past 3 years playing offense, and we moved him to defensive midfield, and he'll still score probably 20 goals this year playing D-midi, but to get a guy to buy into that role, to be selfless, like when we talked about it on the phone, he just said, Coach, I'm not coming back to break any records or to get any awards. I'm coming back for a ring. So, that just shows you kind of the character of a guy like that and the mentality of the guys on our team, that it's not about individual awards. We could care less. We just want to win. We want to win big games. We want to win in May. We want to make program history, which you talked about. So,
Coach, we got one more question for you. Tomorrow night, round number 3 against Bentley. How do you prepare? What does it come down to? I don't expect you to give away the farm here, game plan wise, but give us some things to watch for tomorrow night against the Falcons.
Yeah, we're going to play our game. I think that was the message to the guys today is, we're going to execute our systems. We're going to follow our game plan, and we're going to worry about ourselves and try to play the best that we can possibly play as a team, which I know is pretty simple to say. But and when Drew was here, it's something we've been talking about a little bit more lately. When Drew was here, Coach Nardella was big on telling our guys to play Hawks lacrosse, which was like blue-collar, tough, fast-paced lacrosse. Guys are selling out, doing whatever it takes to win. And that's something we've been talking about lately. So the goal is to play Hawks lacrosse. The goal is to execute the game plan. And if we can do that, I think we can have some success. We've proven that in our previous games against these guys. The challenge is there's been a couple other times Pace. We beat Pace by 6 or 7 goals in our first game. And sometimes 18 to 22-year-old kids, they think that it's just going to magically happen again. And so we didn't show up. Yeah, we didn't show up in that game and dug ourselves a hole and had to battle back. And fortunately, we made the plays at the end we needed to make to win it. So I think that's a challenge for our guys tomorrow. It's we lost to them and then we beat them by, 6 or 7, whatever that number was, maybe more. But that didn't magically happen either. It happened because we followed a game plan. We played Hawks lacrosse. We were tough. We were physical. We played fast. And we did the little things that it takes to win. So hopefully if guys can show up with that mindset that they need to do those things again, we'll have success.
Coach, good luck. Congratulations again. And we appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you.
Absolutely. Drew, thanks for having me on. I was surprised that you were on here. So definitely a pleasure.
I got the late call, but I was pumped to be able to talk with you. Best of luck. I'll watch as much as I can on the bus ride to Exeter tomorrow, but we're playing at 5. So thank you.
Good luck.
That's Mike Shimana. Class act, accomplished. Veteran head coach with the St. Anselm Hawks. They again face Bentley tomorrow night in the NCAA tournament. All right, we're going to take a break. On the other side, Tristan Kerr, the Bedford senior, on his way to Lemoyne. I'm sure Coach has got some interesting questions for his senior. And then Callie Santos in about 10 minutes or so from now as well, the Bishop Girton first-year head coach. On the girls' side, we round out, of course, the program with Anna Campbell and Ari Kukalakis of Bishop Girton. So still a lot to get to on the other side. Don't go anywhere. You are watching FNL Lacrosse, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include tickets and discount cards to hundreds of local businesses. MG Sports now has a digital platform where athletes can raise funds in the comfort and safety of their own home. So become another lacrosse program like Bedford, Goffstown, or Memorial that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Nick Anastas, guest host Drew Bordeaux of the Bedford Bulldogs here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. We're presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks, and we're kicking off a busy week here on the channel. Tomorrow night, we are in Bedford at the Doghouse as BG rolls in. That's a huge game on the girls' side at 5:30. We're off the ground at about 5:20 or so, and are looking forward to that. Thursday, we're back to the boys, 6 o'clock in the Queen City, as Portsmouth will take on Derryfield. That's the latest chapter of perhaps the most lively rivalry in Division II, the Clippers and Cougars. Again, 6 o'clock on Thursday. Those are our 2 Friday Night Lights New Hampshire Game of the Week broadcast presented by Beals Insurance. We thank Mike Shimana of St. Anselm. We wish the Hawks good luck tomorrow night against Bentley in the NCAA tournament. We've got Callie Santos coming up here momentarily from Bishop Girton, and then two of her senior stars as well, Anna Campbell and Ari Kukalachis, will join us to round out the show. All right, without any further ado, Drew, let's bring in one of your defensive studs, Tristan Kerr, the Bedford senior, on his way to Lemoyne. There he is. Tristan, how are we tonight?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
We are good. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to throw you in the hot seat right off the bat. How do you like playing for my co-host here, Mr. Drew Bordeaux? And give me your unfiltered opinion as if he's not listening.
I love playing for Coach. I mean, he just has such a great defensive mind, and I think one of my goals going into the season was to try to learn everything I can from Coach, just to try to, help me get to the college level and excel there as well. But I love playing for Coach. When I was a sophomore, junior, senior, he stayed the same. He gets on me sometimes, but it's whatever. It's kind of something where I gotta listen to, what he's saying, not how he's saying it, and just take it in and know that stuff's for the better for me.
Culture seems to be a word that comes up often when discussing your team, your program. How would you describe it? What's the culture of Bedford Lacrosse?
I mean, I think our culture is just getting better every single day. We got every day we do the week, partnered up with a partner. So if you don't do your goals, you got to do a plank. But I think our culture is, and I really just think it's, getting everyone better. It's not just one person, but it's the whole team, because that's going to stay at Bed and going to help us lead us to a bunch of winning games and hopefully a lot more in the future.
In your opinion, who are some of the leaders besides yourself? When things are tight, who do you guys typically turn to in that locker room?
Definitely our captains. We got Kev Sheridan, Spencer, DK, Luke and Brian. I think those guys do a very good job of leading our team. And, even guys, we have some sophomores that are stepping up, like Bennett Matthews and Brody Helton, both great guys, great lacrosse players. Brody's actually a pole, but I think we have a lot of guys. It's not just captains or seniors that can lead this team. I think everyone can step up and speak their mind. I'm missing out on Kev Master. How can I forget about Kev Master? We have a lot who can lead this team.
Yeah, Coach, it sounds like there's a lot of different personalities, a lot of different players that you can lean on in that locker room.
Yeah, and I think based on Tristan's response too, it's just a very close-knit group. And so Tristan kind of hit on it. There's if someone speaks up, people aren't going to put that guy down because they know that someone's speaking up because they care about the team. And so that's a huge testament to guys like Tristan being very welcoming. And they have a saying, ELE, everyone love everyone. And they do that every day. And so it's a joy to be around all these guys, but especially a guy like Tristan.
All right, Coach, what do you got for your star defender?
I was going to try and give you something creative, but I couldn't think of anything. So we'll just talk about Lemoyne and your journey there. So, with you, Tristan, you have so many intangibles that I can't coach, and that's just like how athletic you are, your speed, your agility, and all that stuff. And you really started to take off your sophomore year, came into the scene as a sophomore in varsity, started a lot of games there. And then really last year you had a really breakout season. And so talk to us about your recruiting journey and how you ended up with Lemoyne.
Yeah, so Lemoyne, they kind of just rang me up, texted me, Alexander, great. He texted me and was wanted to get on a call. So I said, why not? Let's get on a call. Coach Alexander, he really seemed to care a lot about me as a person. Also, lacrosse there, I kind of bond with Coach Alexander. So where to say my grandson Syracuse, so it was a little bit of a full circle. My great uncle was the mayor of Syracuse, I think, in 1990. A little bit of history there, and I got to meet Coach Sheehan. Great coach, a great lacrosse mind. He's gonna definitely give you when I'm mistakes, but I love stuff, and I just know getting to like yell at me there for the better, and I'm gonna listen. It's all for the better there. I love Syracuse. Got to walk around, go to the festival. I love the team. Honestly, the coaches were the main part that really pulled me there. I just loved all the coaches there, and I think I can definitely learn a lot and excel and progress throughout my college career.
And
Yeah. Go ahead, Drew.
I was just going to say, I unfortunately was on the bad end of a lot of games against Lemoyne, and I know a lot about that coaching staff and their minds. But is it by your senior year they'll be able to compete again in Division I? What's the probation period there for them?
Well, I'm pretty sure they're able to compete next year. I think the original rule was that they weren't able to compete until, I think you're right, it was my senior year or 5 years, but I'm pretty sure they switched it. So next year.
That's awesome.
You'll be able to compete.
So you'll be able to compete next year, which is great. And what are you going to study there while you're at Lemoyne?
I'm studying finance, and then hopefully going to get a minor in computer science or computer programming.
So you're not going to run from there at all, trying to get into political science while you're there?
No, I don't think so.
Well, we appreciate it, Tristan. Good luck the rest of the week. Got a couple of big games coming up, I know, and good luck the rest of the way as well, including next year at Lemoyne. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Tristan.
That's Tristan Kerr, 3-year starter at the varsity level and a future NCAA athlete. Not the greatest connection there technically, but I think we got the gist of the interview there. A lot of family influence there in the decision, and it seems like the Dolphins are getting a great player and a great kid.
Yeah, fantastic kid. And I meant to ask him about hockey. He's a fantastic hockey goalie as well. And so people think he's great off the ground. And so people, when they hear that he plays hockey, they think that he plays a left wing, right wing, or center, something like that. But he's a goalie, and so that's a really cool perspective to hear that from. But he had a dream of going Division I, and he achieved that dream. And so I'm super proud of him. As his coach, he's come a long way as a player and as a person these last 3 years that I've known him.
Let's switch gears and bring in Bishop Girton girls head coach Callie Santos. Her first year on the job, the former assistant is now a head coach. Coach Callie, thank you for coming on. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We are good. Take us back to the off season and how the old switcheroo, as Tom King put it, occurred between you and your predecessor, Leslie Y., who was also, of course, a friend of the show. It's not too often you hear that the assistant coach and the head coach switch spots. How did that happen?
Yeah, last year Leslie came to me during the season, and I helped out at a couple practices, and then we had a conversation following that, and she was like, I would really love for you to come back and be a part of the program again. And as an alum, I've always wanted to kind of re-enter that program, and I've really always wanted to be at the helm of it. So we had that conversation, we talked about it, and then from there, we just kind of came to that decision that I would take over as head coach for the 2024 season, and that she would stay on and be a part of the program. And it's been awesome with her and our other assistant, Jamie, and Kevin's still part of the program as well. So it's been really great to have that consistency for the kids, as well as just been a great group of people to work together with. So it's been really, really nice so far.
Yeah. I imagine that's a little easier for you as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely makes that transition much easier.
Now, you mentioned it yourself. You're back at your former school, an alum of the school. You graduated, I believe, in 2013. Went on to play Division I at UMass, which obviously is very impressive. And then back eventually as an assistant and now head coach. Has coaching always been kind of the goal? Or how far back do your roots go with coaching? And how big of a dream, I suppose, is this to be the head coach at your alum?
Yeah, it's definitely been part of the plan the whole time. When I was in college, the goal was always to be a college coach, and I did that. I worked at two separate universities. Directly out of school, I worked at the University of Delaware, and then I came home in the fall of 2018, worked as an assistant at BG in 2019, and then went back to the college game in 2021 and worked at UNH. So coaching was kind of always part of the plan. At one point, I considered doing like physical therapy or like physician's assistant and things like that. But after working in one of those offices, my passion for that didn't align as much as my passion for the sport. So I work full time with lacrosse, and that's been an amazing opportunity through the New Hampshire Tomahawks, which I've really appreciated. Chris and Judy and their just their belief in me and everything like that. So yeah, lacrosse was always part of the plan. I've been coaching since I was 17. So and I've been coaching club and high school, all that kind of stuff throughout since I was in high school. So yeah, always been part of the plan and been a big piece of my life for sure.
Tell me about this group of girls, because it seems like they're right on schedule in terms of what we've been accustomed to seeing year in and year out. Long win streaks, big goal totals, the whole 9 yards, D1 commits, college players, etc. Tell me about this group in 2024. And of course, we're going to see you guys tomorrow night when you take on Bedford.
Yeah, we have a really great group of girls this year. Our team's the biggest that it's been, and for a good reason. We have a lot of really talented players within our program, and kids that have stepped up along the way, ones that have our first year varsity players and are stepping in and contributing a lot in our season so far, and we're only halfway through. So it's been a really great opportunity to work with this group of girls. Our 24 class is super strong with 11 players, and of the 11, many of them start. I don't know off the top of my head the number, but I am very senior heavy this year, and those kids work so hard. I have 5 captains with Anna and Ari who are going to be on after, and then with Lauren, who's been on the show in the past, as well as Cam Schmidt and Haley LeBlanc. So just a really, really strong group of leaders and people. And I've loved getting the opportunity to work with them and the high school environment. And I have nothing but positive things to say about this group of kids for sure.
Coach Bordeaux?
Coach Kelly, great to see you. Awesome season so far. I think you and I have matching paint colors in the back there, so that's fun. I hope it's not BG green, or else I might have to repaint it. But
it's a little green, but that's okay.
So tell me what has been your favorite part about taking over as the head coach, and specifically, like if you have any new traditions that you brought, like pregame or postgame, celebrating wins, things like that.
Yeah, I think we've kept a lot of the traditions because they aligned with my philosophy as well. I think the biggest difference has been kind of like that moment of being able to kind of implement the things that I've learned along the way and really like honing in on different offenses and different defenses and how we can adapt while also staying true to our game plan and teaching these kids not only for high school lacrosse, but also for that next level. There's so many on our team that are playing at the next level. So my goal with everything that I'm doing is to prep them for that, not just this season, but their seasons to come, whether they're a freshman with me now and going to be there for 4 more years, or they're a senior going off to play at college or not going off to play in college, like trying to find ways in which to develop those skills, whether it's lacrosse or off the field, whatever it is, and building a environment that's positive together is really kind of the theme.
Awesome. And you talk about you work full time for the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Very similar to Coach Cameron in the sense of, you really run the girls program as far as like all the coaching ins and outs and clinics and, just the summer and all that stuff. And so going into the game tomorrow and games like Bedford, where you coach a lot of those girls, what's that like? And is that, more of an advantage for you where, I'm sure you're very familiar with the way Liv Matthew plays and girls like Maddie Kiley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely helps me knowing all of the girls, or not all of them, because there's quite a few that I haven't coached that are on the Bedford team and who are very talented. And but knowing the girls that I have coached, and like you said, Olivia Matthews, Maddie Kiley, you got the transfer with Megan Muir, who's a part of the program now as well, and Makita Berry, who's on the defensive side, and Grace Stewart as a goalie. I'm sure there's other girls on the team that play for us that I'm potentially missing, but yeah, it's definitely an advantage for me knowing how those girls play, knowing their tendencies, but I can know everything, and it's really about how the kids execute, it doesn't, we focus on our game plan. We're focusing on us and what we're going to do and how we're going to play. Sorry about that, my phone dinging, but focusing on our game plan on our own, and while utilizing the information that I have, obviously, is definitely very helpful. I mean, almost every single game I'm going into across the state right now, I know at least 2 to 3 kids on the other team. And even yesterday we played Londonderry, and one of the players, Molly Leone, like stepped out of bounds right in front of me, and she looked at me and I was like, it's okay. You're like, just keep going. Just get in on defense. Like I'm their coach regardless of what colors I'm wearing. And like, yes, in certain environments, I'm going to be focusing on my own people. But at the end of the day, like, I'm so proud of every single player that I've been a part of their journey, and want to see nothing but success for them. But also obviously want to see success for my team. So that's very much the end goal.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned the end goal, and I'd imagine it's another state championship for the Cardinals. How do you get there between now and 5 weeks from now on Championship Sunday?
Yeah, I think the big thing for us is learning from every single game that we have. We played Portsmouth early in the season. We lost in OT. We learned a lot from that. We played NDA and hit a really tough game with them, but we learned a lot about our ability to make adjustments and our ability to compete in a high intensity environment, and building throughout the entire season. I've talked about this with the kids, and peaking at the right time is something that's important to win a state championship. And obviously it's like a 5-horse race right now, I would say, with the top teams, and any single one of those teams can win it. And it's just a matter of how our preparation, our focus, and our energy puts us in a place where we're the last one standing on June 5th, 4th, one of the 2 days. I forget which one, but yeah, it's like that build and making sure that we're taking each opponent as its own single opponent. We can't look ahead to the next game, because if you do, then you could drop a team that you might not like otherwise have had a tougher game against, so you've got to really focus on one game at a time, locking into your opponent regardless of who it is or what their record is, and executing whatever game plan that we're implementing for that day. So
Final question, and you mentioned it, taking it one game at a time. We'll see you guys tomorrow night against Bedford. Give us a thing or two to watch for. What has to go right for your squad tomorrow night to knock off the Bulldogs on the road?
I think there's a lot that has to go right in any environment, right? I think that making sure that we have possessions, making sure we have completed possessions with goals, and really making sure that we're disciplined on the offensive end. And then defensively, just making sure that we're sticking to the game plan and really focusing on the things that we can control, right? There's not a lot. There's a lot that you can control in lacrosse, but there's also a lot that you can't. So identifying what we can control and really executing what we can, and working together as a unit is going to be a priority for sure. How do we build together, and what can we do with our pace of play? And that discipline, I think, is something that's going to be super important as we go into tomorrow, and making sure that we're making the most out of our possessions, to be totally honest.
Well, have fun tomorrow night, because it's going to be a close game, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
Callie Santos,
sure.
Appreciate the time tonight. Good luck, and thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you. Callie Santos, first-year BG head coach, but you heard it there, Drew, a longtime coach, period, when it comes to the NCAA level, the elite circuit, and, of course, at the high school level. What'd you learn there, Drew?
Well, I'm sure we'll hear from Ari and Anna, but who are coming on next year. But it's got to be really fun for those girls to have a young coach. But I think it's just really awesome, the culture that they have from Coach Y last year stepping down. That can be really toxic when you have like the former head coach on the bench, and it seems like they just have a really good groove. And Callie is all lacrosse all the time. So that's awesome for those girls that, I spend a lot of the day teaching math, and she's spending a lot of the day game planning, which is just a great advantage to have that if that's your head coach.
Right. All right. Our final guests are ready. Let's bring them in. Anna Campbell, Ari Kukalachis, two seniors with the BG Cardinals, joining us live. We're going to hope for the best with the connection, from what I'm told. But let's go ahead and start with Anna. Well, first of all, ladies, thank you for joining us tonight. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're good. Let's start with Anna. I don't know how much of the previous interview you heard with Coach Santos, but she had some nice things to say about you guys, especially the seniors. How has that transition gone from a player's point of view? Having Coach Y go to the bench, so to speak, as the assistant, and the former assistant filling in as the head coach. How seamless was that transition, and how was it? I guess we'll start with Anna, and then Ari can jump in. Is Anna, can you hear us? I think Anna might be having some technical issues. Let's start with Ari then.
The transition was honestly seamless, and both coaches still play like an awesome role in our lives and in the team culture. And I think that Callie has a lot of knowledge about lacrosse, and she's really helped us. And then Leslie obviously is still a great coach, and it's great to have her.
Right. Anna, are you there? Let's see, Ben, if we could maybe try to reconnect and bring Anna back on, but let's keep Ari with us. Okay, so you guys had a bit of a setback, if you want to even call it that, with that overtime loss against Portsmouth in the opening week of the season. But since then, it seems like it's been smooth sailing and business as usual. What did you guys learn from that overtime loss, that experience, and how did you get past it so easily, seemingly?
I think that it was just early in the season, so obviously adjusting. We made a lot of adjustments on offense, a lot of adjustments on defense, a lot of adjustments on the circle, on the draw. And I think that Callie did an awesome job, like showing us what sorry, my cat's laughing in the background. Showing us what we needed to work on to grow as players.
What's the cat's name?
Mystery.
Mystery. That's an appropriate name, apparently.
Yeah.
Kuchalakis. First of all, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, Kuchalakis.
Okay, Kuchalakis. That seems like that name has been affiliated with BG Lacrosse one way or the other for the last several years. Tell us a little bit about how you got into what is seemingly a family game.
So growing up, I played soccer, basketball, and cross country. And then it wasn't until third grade that I noticed my cousin, Amelia Piercy, who plays at Bryant University, playing it. And I just fell in love with it. And then my brother was playing it too, Sam Kuchalakis. And then my cousin, Zach Kuchalakis.
And
who
I'm sure you guys were all very competitive growing up, right? That's usually how it works.
We were always playing on the beach together because we have a beach house in Rye. So it's just really fun to have a whole family that loves the sport.
All right, let's try to bring in Anna Campbell again here. Anna, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, much better. Much better. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I just asked Anna what was the key to the success after the Portsmouth loss and how you guys have strung together a pretty good win streak here moving forward. What would you attribute that to?
I'd say keeping our 100% the whole game and keeping our possessions very valued, because we in the third and fourth quarters, we really slowed down in our offensive production. We would have possessions and we kind of threw the ball away a lot, and we weren't scoring on all those. So I just think scoring on all our possessions and taking time and valuing every possession that we get.
And the other question I asked Ari is, I guess, appropriate as well. Campbell, that seems like a lacrosse family name there. How did you get into the sport originally, and what role did some of the siblings and cousins play there?
So my older sister, Katie, who's now at Virginia, she was on this soccer team and she loved the coach and all of her friends. And so one of her friends was like, oh, come play lacrosse. So she played. And then, of course, little sister, I had to do what she did. And so we both just kind of hopped in. And that was when I was in third grade. And ever since, we've just played.
The rest is history.
Yep.
Coach Bordeaux?
Girls, thanks for coming on here. So, Ari, you are going to Elon next year to play, and Anna, you're going to Flagler. Take us through. We'll start with Ari, and then we'll go to Anna. But take us through that process, and how you decide on both of those schools, and when coaches started to come into play, and then also kind of adding on to that. Both of those are very different weather than we have up here in New Hampshire. So is that kind of top of the list there? You wanted to get away from the cold. Just talk to us about the process that both of you went on to land at both of those fantastic institutions.
So with Elon, it was actually my last visit, and I was kind of not done with the process, but I was getting a little exhausted. My parents were like, you have to go to this last school. We really want you to just try it out. And when I went to the campus, I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with the coach and just the overall program and the culture there. And then obviously the warm weather was an added bonus because I just kind of wanted to get out of the cold. So yeah, that's how I landed on Elon.
Awesome.
And then for me, I had originally committed to a different school, and after a little while just being committed, I decided that it wasn't for me, and just seeing all these other things, I just decided to decommit and reopen my options. And during the spring season, the Flagler coach was watching one of our games because one of our seniors last year, Maddie Hartsock, was on the team. And so the coach reached out. And so as soon as he reached out, I just had this feeling, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I waited a while just to be sure this time. And then it was just kind of perfect. I went down last summer, and then I just kind of knew that I wanted to go there.
Can't get much better than those two campuses, for sure. So I can definitely understand why you'd want to go south.
Yeah.
Do you girls know what you want to study yet?
I'm right now business decided, kind of.
Yeah, I'm doing business administration as well.
Okay. All right, ladies, final question. We're going to be at the game tomorrow night, broadcasting live in Bedford, 5:30 start, by the way. put on the Coach Santos hat for a minute and give me some of the coach's keys. We're going to start with Anna this time. What needs to happen tomorrow night for you guys to get a win over your rival?
I think just winning the draw, really locking down on D on all sides and just clearing the ball well, and then offense, like how I talked about before, just making sure we're taking care of the ball and converting on every possession, scoring, and not throwing the ball away and wasting our like valued possessions. And I think we should be good.
Going off what Anna said, I think that our team has a lot of chemistry. We've all been playing together for a long time. We have an older roster. So I think just using that to our advantage and like knowing what we need to do as players to help our teammates succeed as well as ourselves. And then on the defensive side, just making sure we lock off Liv Matthews and all the other strong players. And that's basically it.
Well, have fun, because those big games don't come around too often, and you guys deserve it. Good luck the rest of the way, and thank you both for coming on tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was Ari Kukalachis and Anna Campbell live from Bishop Girton. Good stuff tonight, Drew. Thanks for filling in, especially on short notice. We covered a lot of ground tonight. And good luck with your team this week and beyond. We appreciate it. Want to thank Mike Shimana, Tristan Kerr, Callie Santos, Anna Campbell, and Ari Kukalachis for joining us tonight. We're back next week to our normal time, every Wednesday, for the remainder of the season, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Of course, it's all brought to you by Beals Insurance, MG Sports Fundraising, and our title sponsor tonight, of course, is the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Game of the week tomorrow night, BG at Bedford on the girls' side. 5:30 is the opening face-off. That's our game of the week presented by Beals Insurance. And then Thursday, same thing, live from the Queen City as Derryfield plays host to Portsmouth. Again, Big Boys Division II showdown at 6 o'clock. For the director, the man behind the curtain, the wizard of replay, Ben Beals, and executive producer, Steve Beals. My name is Nick Anastas saying so long. This has been FNL Lacrosse, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks.